Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my husband's meal at the restaurant? Me F30 and my husband M32 have been married for 4 months. He likes to be independent in everything. Especially when it comes to money. He's bad with money, meaning he never plans for tomorrow and enjoys buying new things every day. I approached him with the idea of having a joint account. And he said okay. But sadly he took it as in his salary was doubled up and kept purchasing stuff that are expensive without even running it through me. It was just like grab money and go spend it. Not okay because we have commitments. I talked to him. His response is that since his money's in that account, meaning he doesn't have to tell me about where he spends it because technically, it's his money. He admitted joint account was bad idea and unnecessary. In his words, am I crazy to think that everyone should just be able to have their own money to spend regardless of whether they were married or not? We decided that each of us have our own salary but both equally pay for everything. He agreed long as he could buy whatever he want with his money. Last night he suggested we go eat at a restaurant. I assumed each of us pay for our own meals. We arrived and he ordered more dishes than me and 2 types of desserts. When it was time for paying, I asked the waitress for separate bills and my husband looked confused when he heard. He said, "You're not gonna pay for my meal too?" I told him it's his decision that each of us pay for everything, individually. Told him this is what separate finances means. He got upset saying he spent all the money he had before coming to the restaurant and didn't think I'd actually decline to pay. So it's fair that I pay for din? After he argued and threw a fit, I just paid for my meal and was about to leave when he called me selfish and mean. He came home 2 hours later telling me his buddy came and paid for his meal no problem. He said I shouldn't have declined to pay for his meal and was being mean to him. I told him to not take his misplaced anger out on me, but he still argued with me about what I did and how unacceptable it was. After that I took some time to calm down. We had a talk this morning and when I suggested therapy first thing he said, "Okay, but who's paying?" Then reminded me of what I did and how unacceptable it was. He keeps bringing it up and wants me to apologize. In case our jobs are relevant. I'm a secretary and he's a police officer. Not the asshole, but geez, how did it get to this point? What was the financial discussion like before marriage? I mean, if this isn't resolved somehow the marriage will fall apart. Firstly, you should have discussed this before you got married. Secondly, if you're already arguing over the cost of a meal 4 months in, you have problems that need solving pretty urgently. I was with you until you left him at the restaurant with no means to pay. That was a really petty way to win an argument, and it puts you both in the asshole basket. 4 months ago you people vowed to love each other, and you need to do it. Completely not the asshole. Sadly, most couples wait until after marriage to discuss finances. What happens when one of you starts earning more than the other? What happens when you have kids? Definitely he needs therapy to understand why he needs to spend every dollar he earns. As well as you both need financial planning. Potentially the best response is that each of you has to put in X% of your salary to a joint account that covers rent, utilities, emergency fund and other household expenses, groceries, etc. Anything left he can spend as he wishes without question from you, and you the same. Info. Are you married to a 12-year-old? Because it sounds like he spends money like he is on an allowance and he thinks mom and dad will pay for whatever he wants after it is gone. How did you not know this before you got married? And while it would be a bad idea for him to have a credit card if he is this bad with money, how does an adult not have a backup plan to pay for emergencies? Everyone sucks here, him for obvious reasons and you because you decided to leave your husband with no way to pay for something you both took part in. It is not the restaurant's fault you married a child. Public service announcement to OP and everyone here. Your spouse will not suddenly change when you get married. Deadbeats will still be deadbeats. People bad with money will still be bad with money. Not the asshole. But money issues cause about 40% of divorces. Good luck. NTA, but you should really start thinking if you want to continue to spend your life with this cheap asshole. Why are you two married? You are married to a cop with a short temper and poor impulse control? Please be careful. Everyone sucks here, he's a dick. You married without learning all this stuff. Save yourself. Get a divorce. Everyone sucks here. Are you married to a toddler? He needs to grow up and be more responsible with his money. Still, you should have discussed this before getting married. I assume you knew what he was like before you married him? In a legal sense, all your money is his, too. At least where I live. So you need to get this under control or he will waste your money one way or the other. Leaving him in the restaurant wasn't right, you should have paid and dealt with this at home. The restaurant can't use a scene or unpaid meals. Edit. I definitely think he's way more the asshole than you are. Way more. I'm inclined to say NTA, but you really didn't do the restaurant a favor and you kind of should have seen this coming, maneuvered yourself into this situation with your husband, which I'm really sorry about. What's that statistic? 40% of cops abuse their families? Seems relevant. Everyone saying ESH is bonkers. You were goaded into leaving him at the restaurant as a result of a very long string of highly disrespectful and irresponsible decisions on his part. Not the asshole. Paying for his meal would have just shown him that he could continue to financially bully you, which is honestly pretty in line for cops. Get out of this situation ASAP. You're not the asshole. But you need to run like hell. Not the asshole. There's a whole lot to unpack here. Most of which I'm nowhere near qualified to comment on. So at the most basic level I'll go with this. The person who suggests going out should pay. As an aside, wife and I have separate accounts. She great at saving, I'm getting better. But always pay my share of the bills. The unspoken rule is she gives a certain amount to help cover rent, otherwise I pay most bills and she saves and does the bigger fun purchases, vacations for example. Not the asshole. But are you sure you want to be married to this man? Seems like he doesn't care about you at all. When you are married, money becomes joint. Your husband lacks responsibilities and money management skills, which you clearly have. This is a huge red flag, especially for a marriage that you should probably remedy as soon as possible because it will only get worse from here. The fact that he wanted to go out for dinner but didn't have any money to pay shows where his priorities lies, and he's not willing to compromise or understand that being married has a new set of rules. Then he's just a kid masquerading as a man. No offense. Not the asshole. He asks you to go out for food thinking you would pay for it all. Then he orders a shit ton of food. Then he proceeds to get mad at you for not paying for his food? Tell your adult husband to start acting like an adult. Everyone sucks here. Why would you marry someone without talking about your finances first? And no, he's a grown man who said he wanted to have his own money to spend on himself. He ate that food himself on his own with no one else to help him. Why the fuck would you pay for it? Sounds like he's using you, sis. May wanna draft up those divorce papers. This guy is going to fuck you over financially. He might think he's independent, but the law doesn't think so. If you dissolve your marriage before the end of the year, your life will be better. You can still live as married. Protect yourself. You are the asshole for marrying this prize. And he's a police officer? WTF? Of course he's a cop. You both screwed the pooch on this one. Yes, he desperately need to learn money handling skill, and this is a huge red flag for your marriage. How petty do you have to be to ask who's going to pay for joint therapy? He clearly wanted separate money to work in his favor only so he could keep buying his own things and get you to pay for stuff too. Big flag. But I don't think leaving him at a restaurant with no way to pay was appropriate. If he pulled this while shopping with you, you could have left, because all he had to do was put his stuff back, but the meal was already eaten. Maybe loan him the money and make him pay it back? Not the asshole. He wanted separate finances and is now mad at you because he thought you were going to pay for him. Frankly, you two need a serious talk here before something major happens. Not the asshole. Tell him I'm not apologizing for shit. You're the moron who wanted it set up so you can spend your money how you want. And I can spend mine how I want. I didn't want to buy you a meal. Enough said. Move the fuck on and stop being a baby. You asked for this. Not the asshole. But make sure when that displaced anger gets to the next level you are ready to leave his ass. Domestic violence rates are extremely high in couples which one is a police officer. Please seek marriage counseling. You're 4 months in, and if you're any to this work then you need help. Big time. Not the asshole. He's a policeman. Says it all really. Get ready for the abuse to start. Not the asshole. Location flag, location flag, location flag, location flag, location flag, location flag, location flag. Separate finances until he wants something? Oh dear. Not the asshole. This is why I won't date a cop. When your husband escalates, your life will become hell trying to get the money he steals back or hold him responsible for himself in any way. His buddies and coworkers will make sure your life is as miserable as possible and that he escapes all consequences. You should have sorted this out before you got married. He shouldn't have suggested dinner assuming you'd pay. You shouldn't have left him there. Honestly, y'all should just call this over and done with. You're fighting like this after 4 months? Not the asshole. What he tried to do to you is straight up financial abuse, and I'd talk to a lawyer really fast about this if he continues to try to take your money after throwing away his own. Particularly as he seems a bit too vindictive for a police officer. Debt during marriage is communal in some states in the U.S. This guy could ruin your credit and have you paying off his bills for years. Not the asshole. He expects that what is his and what is yours is his as well. Get out while you still have a decent credit rating. Typical cop behavior. This is divorce-worthy. You knew who you were marrying and yet you married him anyway. Divorce him and better vet potential mates before things get uglier. Not the asshole, but R.Y.N.A.B. Not the asshole, but why didn't y'all discuss this stuff before marriage? He's gonna make y'all go bankrupt. Borderline since you left him by himself in the restaurant, but I'm going with not the asshole. If you had paid, it would set a precedence that will be continued. He can spend whatever he wants because you'd cover him. You two aren't acting married, or at least he isn't. It's no longer his money, it should be your collective money together. His spending means he isn't saving towards things like kids and home. He's sacrificing your family's future for his own gratification. It sounds like he didn't actually want the strings that came with marriage. If his attitude is like this now, do not have kids or any more commitments until you two work this out. It's a showstopper if it stays like this. Everyone sucks here. This is not how you handle finances, and you both need to get on same page about spending. If he can't, I would divorce him. 'Cause this is going to cause nothing but problems the whole time. Not the asshole. It's crazy that he's a police officer and he has no money in his bank account, and then on top of that suggested going out for dinner. He clearly has no concept of how to rein in his spending and how to budget. Incredibly rude that he assumed you'd pay. You can't just move on from this and expect separate finances to solve the issue. It won't. Not the asshole. But realistically, is this marriage going to last? Posts like this make me feel so sad. Look, I feel for you, but how the heck did you get married to a financial 12-year-old? Not the asshole, but could you do yourself a solid and get into some couples counseling? Bring bank statements, you're gonna need to. Not the asshole, but why are you married to this guy? Your road ahead appears rough. Decide soon how much you are willing to coddle this man. He makes choices, you make choices. Not the asshole, he wanted to go to dinner. If he didn't have money for dinner, that's his fault. I dated a police officer. Worst fucking guy I've ever been with. Control freak, bad with finances, acted like a child, abusive, etc. etc. Anyway, not the asshole, good luck though. Hope you can get him into therapy for an abundance of red flags. Should probably keep separate accounts though. Spoiler alert. Divorced before the end of the year. Asshole status irrelevant. Not the asshole, but also not headed in a good direction. You married a child who wants you to pay his way like his mother would, with no responsibilities or accountability. It doesn't work like that. If you had paid, he would continue to use you like this. If you leave, setting a boundary, then you are being labeled as the ah. You can continue to argue with him, and I promise that he doesn't and will not get it. I'm sorry, but is this how you want the next 50 years? Or, do you want someone who actually loves and respects you? Keep the finances separate and don't have children with him while you take whatever time you need to see what is obvious to everyone else. Dump that pig.